Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Sydney. I film cruelty-free beauty videos. In today's video, we're going to swatch all of my green single shadows. I've already done a video on my channel where I swatch all of my green shadows that are in my palette, but I recently did a single shadow inventory and I already kind of had things sorted out into colors, so I thought it would be fun to go through my collection, swatch everything color by color. I've already posted a purple single eyeshadow video, so if you guys are interested in that, I'll link it down below. I'm not sure which other ones I'll have posted by the time I have this one done, but without further ado, let's hop into it. Okay, so this first shadow is Kaleido Reflectance. I feel like this probably should be in my multi-chrome palette. This is one of their iridescent multi-chromes. It's a very sheer, like, minty green shade with a bit of a pink shift. It's really beautiful on the inner corner. Really gorgeous. It has a very sheer base, so I feel like you guys aren't really seeing the green on camera. Next up we have La Playa from ColourPop. This is a beautiful, I feel like I could probably qualify this as a satin shadow. It's really not shiny enough to be considered a true metallic in my opinion. It's a really pretty light mint shadow though. Very sheer. I really don't love this formula, but this is one of my oldest single shadows in my collection. It's before I really got into indie brands. Next up we have Tangy Citrus from Sydney Grace. This is one of my favorite single shadows, period. It's like a soft metallic, like off-white yellowy shade. It's so beautiful. This is my favorite inner corner shadow for when I do a green look. It's so gorgeous, so brightening. I'm really sad that Sydney Grace discontinued the bundle that this was part of. I'm hoping maybe it's available as a single, but really love this shadow. Okay, next up we have Escape from Sydney Grace, which is a beautiful, I would call this like an olive green, a metallic olive green. This definitely has a really pretty like gold reflect. I apologize you guys, my camera is having issues focusing today. Okay, so this shadow right here is a mystery shadow. I was gifted some singles from a friend and a few of them came without labels, so I have absolutely no idea where that one's from. So I'm just gonna move on to this next shadow. This is Light My World from Sydney Grace. Another beautiful, like, this one's a bit more of a dirty olive. I feel like it's got more bronze to it than the last green we swatched. Beautiful. And then we have JD Glow 365. This is my favorite, one of my favorite single shadows. It's a beautiful, super glittery, metallic, textured, like greeny gold duochrome. Oh, you guys can just see the sparkle. Oh my goodness. So pretty. Okay, next up we have Chartreuse from JD Glow. I don't believe this is one of their, no, this isn't one of their Galaxy shadows. It's just a shimmer shadow, so it's like nowhere near as magical or special as those Galaxy shadows, but it's a beautiful, like, shimmery lime green. Next up we have Sweet Sop from Sydney Grace. This is a beautiful, I feel like this is more of like a warm toned green. Got a little bit of a gold shift throughout it. It's a really gorgeous color. Okay, this next shadow is Martian from Terra. This is a really gorgeous, like, bronze to green duochrome. I have quite a few of these shadows in my collection. They're kind of my weakness. This one's definitely a softer version. I feel like JD Glow 365 is probably the most intense, like, metallic and glittery version that I have. This one's a little bit softer. Next up we have Be the Sunshine. This is a gorgeous, like, almost like antique gold green. It's so pretty. Woo. Okay, next up we have Hot Spice Cider from Terra. This is once again one of those really pretty warm based shadows with a green shift. The green shift in this one is a little bit different. It's more of a, I don't know, I feel like it's more of a cool tone green instead of that like really golden green. Next up we have Celesta from Divina. This is again one of those gorgeous bronzy based green shifty shadows. Super incredibly sparkly. I love it. It's so gorgeous on the eyes. Next up we have Dazzle from Sydney Grace. This is more of a, this is a really soft greeny gold. This really reminds me of that, like, you guys know that Crayola crayon that's like, has like a yellow wrapper and it's like greenish. That's kind of what this shadow reminds me of, but like in a really, really pretty way. Next up we have Bashful from ColourPop. This is more of a taupey green metallic. It's a much softer shadow than a lot of the other greens I've swatched so far. Oh, can you guys see all the glitter on my arm? I have some matte greens to swatch a little bit and they are going to look a little bit sparkly. Next up we have Orion from Divina. This is a gorgeous shade. Can you guys see the sparkle? Oh, how incredibly gorgeous is this? This is very much like an electric, almost like lime green shadow. How incredibly stunning. It's so shiny on the eyes. Gorgeous. Next up we have Tempest from Sydney Grace. This is a gorgeous electric, like lime green. I don't know if it's lime green, but it's like a cool toned lime shadow from Sydney Grace. It's kind of a less sparkly version of that other shadow, Orion, that we just swatched from Divina. Next up we have Callisto from Terra Moons. This is one of their pastel chameleon shadows. I don't love a lot of the pastel chameleon shadows, but this one I think is really special. It's almost like a muted taupey green with like a electric green shift. It's really pretty. Next up we have Green Mango from Sydney Grace. This is a gorgeous kind of like a vibrant mint shadow. It's got a little bit more depth to it than your traditional mint shadow, I would say. Okay, I know you're looking at the shadow and you're like, Sydney, this is like purpley pink, but this is a really gorgeous shadow from Divina. It's called Asteria. It has like a purpley pink base with a gorgeous like green shift. It's stunningly beautiful. Oh, I hope this shift shows up on camera for you guys because I am just like so obsessed with this shadow. Oh, I don't think it's gonna show on camera, but take my word for it. It has the most gorgeous shift. I also want to note, this happened with the last swatch videos that I did. I sorted these shadows in like very overcast light, and now that I'm in like direct sunlight, I feel like some of them aren't quite fitting in the color categories that I placed them in, so just please bear with me with that. Next up we have the shade called Aquila from Kaleido Cosmetics. This has like a purple base and it shifts to like a teal. Again, so sparkly. This is not looking green at all in this light. Next up we have Draco from Divina. This has a gorgeous teal base and it shifts. It's looking kind of purple in this light to me. Next up we have Cosmetics Venice. This is such a gorgeous green, you guys. I feel like it looks a little bit duller in the pan than it comes off on the eyes. Oh, it's so pretty. Love the shadow. Next up we have To Earth from Sydney Grace. This is a gorgeous metallic, like deep evergreen shade. I don't think it's really an emerald. I feel like emerald has more blue in it, but it's absolutely stunning. I'm dying to do like a green smoky eye with this shadow. This shadow is a mystery shadow, so I'm going to skip over this one. This one is from Shroud Cosmetics. It's called Magnetism. Oh, look at the shimmer on that shadow. You guys can kind of see it a little bit better when it was unfocused. This is an emerald shadow. Holy moly. How beautiful. Oh my goodness. Next up we have Cosmetics Amaranthine. And this is, again, another beautiful metallic emerald shadow. I've got a thing for emeralds, you guys. I don't wear them a whole lot, but like when I see a single that's an emerald, I'm like, ooh, I need to have you. Next up we have Lethal Cosmetics Aether. This is a gorgeous, I feel like this is probably easily classified as a satin emerald shadow. As I said in another video, the Lethal Cosmetics metallic formula is not my favorite, but I have heard that they have reformulated since I've last made a purchase, so it could be different, but that's just kind of my word of warning. Alright guys, now we're on to our matte. I apologize if these don't actually look matte. I am literally like covered in shimmer, so we're just gonna make it work. First up, we have this beautiful light green shadow. This is called Sea Breeze from Sydney Grace. It's like a really soft pastel, almost like olive shadow. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous shadow. Next up, we have Seafoam. I feel like this is more of like almost a pastel, almost minty shade. It's really, really beautiful. Oops, sorry, I think you guys are out of focus for that one. Next up, we have Lunar or Later from Terra. This is a beautiful pastel, like true mint shadow. Beautiful, beautiful pastel. Next up, we have Relapse from Lethal Cosmetics. This again really reminds me of that like crayon from a Crayola box, but like that yellow green shadow. This one is really, really fun to work with. Next up, we have Void from Lethal Cosmetics. This is a beautiful light, like a cool tone green, I would say. I really, really love their matte formula. Ooh, this shadow is so fun. It's called Just a Phase from Terra. It's a beautiful matte, super vibrant green. How gorgeous is this shade? Oh my goodness. Next up, we have Calmeria from Sydney Grace. This is kind of like a soft Granny Smith green, I would describe it as. Really, really gorgeous. Beautiful. Next up, we have Green and Jus from Sydney Grace. This is probably a pretty true Granny Smith green. Really, really fun shadow. And another Granny Smith green apple shade. This one's actually called Green Apple from Lixie Beauty. Really pretty. Next up, we have Honeydew from Sydney Grace. This is probably like a, I don't know if I would describe this as a grassy green or more so just like a, it reminds me of like a tree green, you know, like tree leaves. Next up, we have Palm Tree from Cosmetics, which is honestly a very similar shade to the last shadow that we just swatched. Next up, we have Granny Smith from Sydney Grace. I would not really describe this as a Granny Smith green, to be totally honest with you guys. I feel like it's more of a forest green. Next up, we have Wildlife from Sydney Grace. This is more of a grungy brownish green, I would say. It's a really pretty shadow. I love to use this to add some contrast to green looks and kind of like neutral them out. Next up, we have Kiwi Fruit from Sydney Grace. This is like a really deep olive green. It's so pretty. Next up, we have Key Lime from Sydney Grace. I would describe this as a like a deep forest green. It's really gorgeous. Next up, we have Trailhead from Sydney Grace. This is like a blackened matte green shadow. Love using the shadow as liner in a green look or just adding some like severe contrast to a look. It's really pretty. It performs beautifully on the eyes. It just swatches a little patchy. Next up, we have Eden from Sydney Grace. This is a gorgeous matte deep forest green. This reminds me like an evergreen tree. Next up, we have Siren Call. This is a gorgeous, kind of like cool toned matte green. It's got just a little bit more blue to it. And then finally, we have the shade Conjure Out from ColourPop. This is really not my favorite deep green, but I bought it early on in my single shadow collection. It's very similar to the last shadow that we swatched. It's just a bit more vibrant. Alright you guys, but I think that's going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed seeing me swatch out all my green shadows. Leave me a comment down below letting me know what your favorite green shadow is, single or in a palette. I'd love to chat about it, but thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on the rest of this series. And I'll see you in my next video. Bye!